Good evening, the support committee of the University of Burundi Doctoral School. My name is Fred Awaah, a doctorand, and in line with the directives to report on our activities towards the attainment of the PhD by the doctoral school, I've catalogued a number of activities that I have embarked on in line with the dictates of the doctoral school over the period. And this video is intended to report on such. Number one, I want to look at the summary of progress after the coursework. I've had 18 months internship with my lead thesis supervisor, Professor Peter Akinsolo Okebukola, through online means and then sometimes face-to-face at conferences in Nigeria, Ghana, and then um, elsewhere. Within the 18 months, we have had daily interactions through online means from 7 to 10 p.m. And this is just not only me, it is the professor together with a number of mentees. We are 14 and we are called the elite research team. So far, we have learned on how to publish in higher ranked peer-reviewed channels. We have also learned how to use the cultural techno-conceptual approach to teach so that we make subjects learning easy for students both at the university level and also at the senior high school level, amongst others. I've also published two chapters in two books written by my supervisor. I've published a conference proceedings with the Association of African Universities. I've presented in over 15 international educational conferences within Africa. I have gathered data and now writing reports on my thesis. I have had 5 peer-reviewed articles with my supervisor, which are currently in press. And I've also written over 15 newspaper opinions on my research and related higher education issues. Now, research outputs and publications. My current publication is a book chapter uh, that I contributed in the book of my professor, Professor Peter Akinsola Okebukola. And then my chapter is entitled Indigenous Cultural Knowledge Related to the Concept of Politics as a Difficult Topic in Public Administration. And the editor is Peter Akinsola Okebukola. And the book is entitled Breaking Barriers to Learning, the Cultural Techno-Conceptual Approach. My contribution is in page number 182 to 193. So I think it is important at this juncture to show you how the book looks like. And then further, it is important to showcase the page where my contribution is. Hope the cameras are able to capture this. It's important to report further that I've also contributed uh, to the conference proceedings of the Association of African Universities, and my paper is entitled Sexually Transmitted Grace and the Culture of Silence. Female students blow the whistle. It is available at the link highlighted below. And also within the doctoral process, I have contributed a chapter in a book co-edited by Professor Peter Okebukola and Akin Mabogonji. And then my paper in there is titled Drugs and the Youth, Ghana's Drug Policies in a Changing World. And then the title of the book itself is Drug Policies in Africa, What Works. It is important at this juncture to showcase the book here and also to highlight the chapter in which I contributed knowledge in this book. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from this, as I indicated earlier, I have a number of papers co-authored with my supervisor which are in press. One of them is Deeper Probe of African University Students' Perceived Difficult Concepts in the Study of Public Administration. And this is in Teaching Public Administration. That is the name of the journal. Secondly, we have one called Deeper Probe of African Students' Perceived Difficult Concepts in secondary school chemistry. And this is in research in science and technological education. Further, we have co-authored a theology of topic difficulty in the new computer studies curriculum in African schools, taming the monster, taming the tiger, and this is in the Journal of Computer Science Education. And also, we have investigating chemical safety awareness and practices in Nigerian schools in the Journal of Chemical Education. It is hoped that by the close of the year, all of these papers will be out as part of our research outputs. Research conferences and seminars. I was privileged to be a facilitator at the 11th International Conference and Workshops on Quality Assurance in Higher Education in Africa. And I facilitated the session and also became a panelist on stemming academic corruption to improve quality in Africans' higher education. And this was from the 7th to the 10th of October 2019 in Abuja, Nigeria. I tendered in the material for the sessions as it reflects here. And this was done together with my supervisor, Professor Peter Akinsola Okebukola. It is also important to report that at the 17th International Conference of St. Mary's University on Private Higher Education in Africa, I presented a paper entitled Written Lecturer Related Classroom Academically Dishonest Practices in Ghana's Institutions of Higher Learning. And this was from the 25th to 27th of July 2019 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Evidences can be found at the link highlighted below. Further, at the instance of the Association of African Universities, I was a presenter at the Conference of Rectors, Vice Chancellors, and Presidents of African Universities. And here I presented on sexually transmitted grades and the culture of silence, with female students blow the whistle. This was at Cairo, Egypt from the 8th to 11th of July 2019. The conference proceeding has since been published and is online. Yet again, it is important to tender in evidences of my participation and facilitation in this conference. In my own university, the University of Professional Studies, Accra, I presented with Mukaila Abdullahi at the 5th International Conference on Business Management and Entrepreneurial Development, organized by the University of Professional Studies, Accra, that is my university. And we presented on curbing student-related academic corruption. And that was from the 17th April. It was actually on the 17th April 2019 on the campuses of my university. And here is evidence of this presentation. Further, at the 10th International Conference of Quality Assurance in Higher Education in Africa, jointly organized by the European Commission and the Association of African Universities in Yaoundé, Cameroon, from 17th to 20th September 2018, I was privileged to present on curbing academic corruption in Africa's higher education, the role of students. I tendered in certificate of participation and presentation in that conference for your perusal. Further, at the instance of the International Association of Universities, I participated in the International Conference of Higher Education organized uh, from the 17th to 20th of October 2017 in Accra, Ghana. My paper was Academic Ethics and Academic Corruption. Evidences can be found on the link below. Community service. I have embarked on a number of services towards enriching the African community. One of the key participation in the issues of community services is the launch of the African Progress Group in Abeokuta, Nigeria, from the 27th on the 27th and 28th of November 2018, where I addressed the audience on using digital technology to promote African culture. It is important to inform that the African Progress Group is a successor organization of the African Progress Panel, which was run by His Excellency Kofi Annan. So at his demise, His Excellency President Obasanjo brought together a team of experts and then decided to continue with the work of His Excellency Kofi Annan. And out of this, I was part of those invited to speak. And then here is the book of proceedings, and then my personal contribution is at a page I would show very, very shortly. I think I should have done this earlier. My sincere apologies. But so this page shows the works I did for enriching the African community. Further, at the African Students Leadership and Capacity Building Training organized by the Association of African Universities from the 25th to 28th September 2018 at the University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. I was a guest facilitator, and then a letter of appreciation was officially written to me by the university, specifically the African Center of Excellence of Port Harcourt University, where the event was held. It is important to report again that at the 8th International Conference of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library under the theme Drug Policies in Africa, What Works, I presented a paper entitled Drugs and the Youth, Ghana's Drug Policies in a Changing World. This was in Abeokuta, Nigeria from the 3rd to 5th of March 2018. Here again, I tender in evidence. I was privileged to share the platform with Professor Juma Shabani, our own director of the doctoral school. Teaching. I've been a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies since 2013. So, in line with the directives of the University of Burundi Doctoral School, that all doctorants must have some experiences in teaching as part of the package for being awarded a doctorate. It didn't become very difficult to me because I was already teaching. So in my university, I lecture public administration, leadership, global dimensions of business, and in some rare cases, entrepreneurship is also given to me to teach depending on the semester. These can be found on the university website as indicated below. Research goals for the next 3 months. My research goals for the next 3 months are as follows. One, to complete the test of the cultural techno-conceptual aspects of my thesis on two groups, the experimental group and then the control group. I am using the students from public administration students from the University of Professional Studies to do this test. And then also it is important to inform that the entire concept of the CTCA, that is the cultural techno-conceptual approach, was carved or formulated by Professor Peter Okebukola in the year 2015. And basically it's intended to break difficulties in teaching and learning. The approach has mainly been used in the sciences, and if my thesis goes through, I'll be the first to have used the approach in applying to a course in the humanities, that is public administration. Target thesis completion date. All things being equal, I'm expecting that by 30th of June, all of my write-ups should be ready, pending final critiques by my supervisors. Supervisory team. Professor Peter Akinsola Okebukola of the Lagos State University, specifically the African Center of Excellence, and Professor Juma Shabani, the Director of the University of Burundi Doctoral School. Means of interacting with supervisors. Face-to-face, emails, Zoom, GoToMeeting. Largely face-to-face hasn't been too much. There have been a few scheduled times when we have met, but largely it is Zoom, GoToMeeting, and Skype, and also through emails, and sometimes through telephone communications. Thank you very much. My name is Fred Awaah. I am reachable at akafari@yahoo.com, and my phone number is +233 243 101 626. Thank you very much.